Peace and love to my TikTok fam. I first of all just want to thank you all for watching the other video that I posted last night in regards to healing mother wounds. So this is, I guess, what you can call the second part of that video, because there's a few things that Spirit wants me to elaborate on in regards to mother wound healing. And it's 10:44 as I begin to record this. So I'm hearing that there is angelic protection all around this. But one of the subjects that I touched on was opening your throat chakra by feeling safe again, safe enough to speak your truth, to speak authentically, and to show up authentically in the world. So thank all of you that tuned into the first part of this message, because it is going to help bring more clarity and more healing. So I almost didn't include this part of the message because I immediately thought to myself, well, maybe certain people, they won't be ready to understand, or they won't understand where I'm coming from, because I delve so deep into spirituality, into esoteric knowledge sometimes, that I've experienced a lot of people not really understanding where I've come from, or who just want to fight or debate. And I'm not here to do either. You could take the information and you could apply it to your life and heal, or you can just keep scrolling. It's okay. Doesn't matter to me either way. So sometimes you might find yourself suppressing or holding back on certain topics, certain subjects, because you assume that other people are not going to understand where you're coming from. Because a lot of times we think that people won't understand us when that's not true at all. There's a lot of people who understand exactly where you're coming from, and I'm hearing who will understand you on a soul level, even if they've never been exposed to the knowledge. Maybe you're that activator. Maybe you're going to be that person who helps flick on the light for them to look into something. It's going to trigger a remembrance. Because as I always say, we're not learning new information, we're remembering. Most of us have already lived many past lives where we've already obtained a lot of knowledge, a lot of information, but we had to come back because we still hadn't learned all of the lessons. So a lot of the information that you're exposed to is just being regurgitated. You're just remembering. And that's why a lot of it might just resonate without you understanding why. A lot of it will just make sense. It's like someone just turned on the light bulb. The message that I gave was very triggering, but Spirit meant for it to be very healing. So there's a very important part of this message that needs to be voiced. When it comes to mother wounds, although we do want to identify it, the most important part is being able to forgive them. We're not identifying these issues in order for you to hold a grudge, in order for you to hold on to even more hurt. Because sometimes when you have to look at the things that have happened to you, it can be very painful. It's almost as though you're rewinding a videotape of your life. And in a sense, you are reliving those events. Every time you think about them, that's the way the subconscious mind works. It doesn't know truth from fiction. It doesn't know fake from reality. So if you find yourself replaying certain memories in your mind, your body is reacting and being triggered because your subconscious doesn't know that it's not real, that it's not actually happening. So it's very important that when you are taking the time to do the shadow work, when you are observing these things that have happened to you, it's important for you to be grounded in the truth of you being safe. It's important that you remind your body, and you can simply speak to your body and remind it that this is not happening right now. You don't have to protect me. I am safe. This situation is no longer happening. I am safe. Because your nervous system is built to protect you. It's built to go off like an alarm. So this is why you might still experience anxiety when you think about your past traumas. It's because our nervous systems are connected to our thoughts. Why? Because once again, our nervous system is designed to warn us if there is an imminent threat. So if your mind says, this is dangerous, there's a threat, your nervous system actually goes off in order to make you get to safety. So what a lot of you will do is you'll go into fight, flight, or freeze, whichever feels the most compatible or convenient with what's happening. Sometimes that might be you running away. Sometimes that might be you not speaking your truth in order for you to feel protected. Sometimes that might be you people pleasing or funning, which is you once again performing, dimming your light, playing nice in order to protect yourself. Well, the point of this healing is for you to be able to show up authentically. And as I'm speaking today, Spirit led me to grab this lapis lazuli. This is really good for helping to open up your throat chakra, which is the aim, which is the goal. We want that throat chakra to be unblocked so that you can speak your truth, so that you can stand up for yourself and for what you believe. One of the things that I touched on yesterday was speaking kindly to yourself. And this is very important, especially if you find yourself making a mistake. You might find that you will immediately begin to reprimand yourself. Now, I want you to listen to how you are doing that. How are you correcting yourself? Are you automatically reverting to anger? Are you automatically reverting to speaking harshly to yourself? Because more than likely this was learned out of habit. And if you are doing that, let's just say once again, you make a mistake. I want you to speak to yourself kindly, the same way you would a child. Reassure yourself that it's okay that you made a mistake. It's okay. Because the whole point of this message is for you to understand that in order for you to feel safe in the world, although I spoke on this yesterday, that it's very important that you surround yourself with people who also allow you to feel safe, who create a safe space for you. But Spirit wants you to understand that that safe haven starts within. You will never feel safe in the world if you don't feel safe within yourself and with yourself. And when I say with yourself, I'm saying that the way that you speak to yourself, imagine you yelling at a child. Do you think that child feels safe around you? Do you think they're going to feel comfortable, relaxing, being themselves? Or do you think that they're going to feel anxiety? They're going to feel afraid of you. Well, this is the type of relationship that you're creating with yourself when you speak harshly to yourself. When you don't show yourself grace or compassion. When you're yelling at yourself. When you're scolding yourself. When you're not extending forgiveness to yourself. You matter as well. So it's very important that you become aware of those learned behaviors that were passed on from narcissistic parents, narcissistic lovers, narcissistic authority figures, who always made you feel like you had to walk on eggshells, as though making a mistake was the worst thing in the world. You have to allow yourself to feel safe. You have to be the one to give yourself permission to relax, to make mistakes, to make errors. That safe haven has to be cultivated within you. And what's going to happen, Spirit is showing me, that once you create a safe haven within yourself, it's naturally going to manifest in the world and the environment around you, because we attract what we are. So once you become more safe, you will begin to attract safer environments, safer people, people that match your energy, opportunities and work situations that match your energy. And this also goes into feeling safe within yourself. What I mean by that is you actually changing your habits or creating better habits which allow you to feel safe. I'll give you a good example. Money. Money blockages typically come from not feeling safe. Is directly connected to your root chakra, which is all about safety. And so what happens is people who don't feel safe within themselves, they create self-sabotaging habits that actually continue to perpetuate that cycle of not feeling safe, because your body will get addicted to not feeling safe. Your body will get addicted to chaos. If every day you're programming your nervous system to be in fight, flight, or freeze, to be in survival mode, your brain is automatically going to trigger thoughts and behaviors which keep you in that cycle, because that's what your body is used to. This makes me think of when they talk about it takes 21 days to break a habit. How do you think that habit formed in the first place? Repetition. You waking up every day telling yourself, I'm not safe, doing things that don't make you feel safe. And it becomes a habit. It becomes a habit. So as I mentioned before, money is a big one. Most people who don't feel safe, they want to be rich, but they keep themselves in poverty because they don't feel safe with money. As I spoke of before, they have already programmed their nervous system to not feel safe. So what happens? Every time they get money, instead of saving it for a rainy day, instead of putting it up or investing it wisely, they continue to spend all their money. They'll get rid of it, and then they'll cry when they're back in a situation that is causing them stress, that is causing them anxiety, even though they created the situation. It's almost like if you're not aware, your mind and body will work against you. And it's not malicious. It's just you have to understand how your mind works, how your body works, how energy works. So the more that you allow yourself to feel safe, like I said, maybe putting away some money, even if you don't foresee anything happening in the future, just put something up for a rainy day. When we talk about abundance, it means having more than enough. Abundance is not you continuing to go paycheck from paycheck, barely scraping up pennies. That's not what Spirit wants for you, because that actually affects your ability to feel safe, which affects your root chakra. And now you're out of balance. So something as simple as changing your money habits can actually help you feel more safe in the world, more secure, more resourceful. But this is only once you step out of the victim mentality into the creator seat, understanding that you are creating your reality one way or another. What habits are leading to this outcome? If you continue to repeat the same vicious cycles, take the time to identify the root. Is it my thoughts or my beliefs about myself or about the world that is placing me in this type of situation or around these same types of people that don't allow me to feel safe? Oftentimes, when people don't feel safe, they seek out temporary gratification. You're trying to get rid of that feeling. That goes into the next part of this message. I'll get there in a moment. But Spirit is giving me the example of soul food, or as they call it, comfort food. Some people eat for nourishment and for fuel, and some people eat for comfort. Even though it has no type of nutritional value to their body, they eat to feel good. Well, the same thing can apply to spending money and many other different habits. That's why they have something called retail therapy. That's just another word for shopping addiction. Because anything that has power over you or that takes precedence in your life is an addiction. It is a master. It is controlling you. But the way that you regain control is sitting down, observing, facing yourself, and realizing that I keep perpetuating this habit that's not allowing me to feel safe. I keep getting in relationships with these people that's not allowing me to feel safe. I keep spending all my money when I know I have things that I need to do, and it's not allowing me to feel safe. I keep going into these certain environments and surrounding myself by people that don't make me feel safe. And I'm hearing that could include family members as well as friends. Just because they're family does not mean they get a hall pass. Because I'm hearing the majority of narcissism that we experience is through our family. Another thing Spirit wants me to touch on is your sensitivity. This is specifically for my empaths, those of you who feel so deeply. Spirit wants you to know it's okay for you to embrace that part of you. Yes, you are different. Not everyone feels as deeply as you, because that is a superpower. You see, as humans, we don't learn about powers and abilities. We don't learn about our strengths because they're turned into weaknesses. But I'll give you an example. When I was younger, I mentioned in my other video that I was very sensitive. And I'll never forget when I first met my stepfather. I remember my mother, she took us to a Dairy Queen. And she sat me and my sister down, and he was there. And she told us we're getting married. Now, as a child, I'll never forget having this feeling. It was a gut feeling. I had never met this man a day in my life. It's 11:10 on the clock. I had never met this man a day in my life. And I just had this feeling. It was a bad feeling. It was a gut feeling. And when I looked in his eyes, I remember them not being trusting eyes. There was just something that was off. I remember zooming into his temples that would constantly just be pulsating as though he was nervous. Now, I was a child. I didn't even understand that I was doing all of this, but I did. I just didn't know how to make sense of it. 11:11 on the clock. I didn't know how to make sense of it. And like I said, this was my first time ever meeting him. But of course, as a child, I didn't feel as though I had a voice. I didn't think that my mother would actually listen to me, so I didn't voice my concerns to her. And do you know, years later, after seeing him turn into an abuser, having him abuse me, abuse my mother, abuse my siblings, there was a time when I actually blamed myself. Because I would replay that moment when I first met him and I had this gut feeling and I didn't speak up. I didn't say anything. Of course, I have since forgiven myself. I was a child. And like I said, my mother wasn't necessarily the type to have open table conversations. But boy, when he finally removed that mask and I was able to see the monster that was hiding beneath. But at that time, I wasn't privy to empaths and spiritual things. I grew up in the church. So I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't understand my sensitivity. And this would happen all throughout my childhood. I could just feel people's energy, but I would gaslight myself. Like I could feel when women would come around me and be jealous and envious, even though they would befriend me. I could feel the hate and animosity from certain people. It's like I could read them, but I didn't understand it. So I would gaslight myself. I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust what I was feeling. And so the message that Spirit wants me to relay to you today is trust your sensitivity. Trust your magic. Trust your intuition. I have 13% on my phone. I've been seeing number 13 everywhere. So it's definitely the end of cycles. It's the end of the year. So we're closing out a lot of things. And so that's why Spirit is bringing these messages in so heavy to make sure that you shed and purge the last remnants of that old self, of that wounded warrior. That is not who you are. I know a lot of people use this term in tarot. I am not a wounded warrior. Because yes, I've been through things, but I don't identify with my struggle. You don't have to identify with your past. You are not your past. You are not the mistakes that you've made. You are not the things that you've been through. You always have the power to rewrite your story, to change the trajectory of your timeline. So don't give other people the power to keep you in that box based on the version of you that they're stuck on. You are not stuck. You are not confined to your past. And so when it comes to your sensitivity, allow yourself to become safe to feel again. And I don't know why this is so heavy. Maybe for some of you, you're coming into very powerful gifts. And a part of those gifts are you giving yourself permission to feel. Because you need to understand that it is a superpower. Spirit doesn't want you to look at it as a weakness any longer. The only reason that it feels so turbulent is because you're probably resisting it. It's almost like you clogging up a pipe. It's going to build up pressure. But once you clear out whatever is blocking the pipe, everything can flow freely. The same goes with your energy. Once you allow the things to just flow through you, you will be a lot better off. It's only because you're trying not to feel. So you're blocking and clogging up your pipes, your energetic pipes. But Spirit wants you to start looking at it differently. And once again, you are the only one that could give yourself permission to feel safe enough again to feel. Only you can create that safe haven within yourself. By simply reminding yourself that, hey, you're good, you got me. Because believe it or not, that part of you that still feels unsafe is your inner child. It's the version of you that went through all of those things. It's not necessarily you now because you're not going through those things. 11% on my phone. But you're not physically experiencing those traumas, are you? So where's all of this coming from? It's coming from your childhood. It's coming from your subconscious mind and those beliefs that were cultivated throughout your childhood that you weren't safe, that you couldn't trust anybody, that you couldn't trust the world, that the world is out to get you. The way that you begin to heal that is by reprogramming your mind, you understanding that that is an illusion. The whole world isn't out to get you. Everybody is not against you. I'm hearing that this is where you become present by you allowing yourself to realize that it was then, this is now. I am not currently experiencing that. Therefore, this is based on a memory. This is based on my nervous system being triggered by the past. Because once again, your nervous system is also connected to your subconscious mind. So your subconscious mind doesn't know what's real. Therefore, your nervous system doesn't really know what's real. You give your feelings a story. I've talked about this in other videos before. Excitement versus anxiety, they're actually one and the same. They trigger the same types of emotion, the same type of chemical reaction, I'll say. The only difference is you give it a story. You tell it whether it's excitement, which is good, or anxiety, which is something that you have to be afraid of. They both trigger your nervous system. But you can trick your nervous system by the story that you give it. So I'm going to briefly touch on soul contracts. And this is going to allow you to heal these mother wounds. This is going to allow you to let go of the pain through understanding. Knowledge is freedom. So when it comes to soul contracts, before you came to earth, you and your higher self and source, or as many of you call God, you created these agendas for yourselves. You created these missions. You created a purpose. And within these contracts, you outlined the different lessons that you wanted to learn as a soul. Now, understand that your soul knows that none of this is real. Your soul, before it came here, saw this life as a video game. So before you came here, you already knew what it was. But once you get into this body is when you have amnesia and you think that it's real. Just like that character inside of the video game, it doesn't know that it's a video game. It's just a character. It's playing its part. And so this is you now in this body. But your soul came here with a mission. It already had an agenda. It already knew the lessons that it wanted to learn. So there was certain situations and circumstances that were allowed to be placed in your life. There were certain obstacles I'm hearing that were placed before you, which were going to help your soul to evolve. So while many of us want the easy route, your soul doesn't translate easy as evolving. So this is why most of the people that go through the hardest situations in life are the wisest. Because you obtain wisdom through experience. So yes, it was hard to deal with that narcissistic mother day in and day out. It was hard for you to deal with that neglect and abandonment in those relationships. But your soul ultimately was able to obtain knowledge and wisdom. It was able to evolve. And that might not mean anything to you, but I'm hearing in the spiritual realm, it holds a lot of weight. I'm hearing many mansions now when it talks about in the Bible. Based on your acts and your deeds here on earth, it will determine which level of heaven that you go to. This is what it's talking about. Heaven is a dimension. So the more that you evolve within this life, the higher dimension you get to graduate to. I hope that makes sense. So I'm hearing, just like in a classroom, you don't graduate by just sitting in class and staring at the teacher. You have to do some work. You have to learn some things. You have to take some tests. You have to fail some tests. But ultimately, it's going to lead to you graduating. And if you took advanced classes like I did, or honors classes in school, then that just elevated your level of wisdom and knowledge. Because while others might have just wanted to play it safe and slide under the radar, you actually chose to challenge yourself. This is what your soul chose as well, to challenge itself. So yes, you might have some of the hardest battles, but it's because you have one of the strongest souls. Now I'm hearing that scripture, God will not put more on you than you can bear. Well, understand that you are God having a human experience. And I'll get to that in a moment. But God being you, your higher self and your soul before you came here, it knew what you could handle. It knew what you could handle. So yes, you might be going through the toughest of circumstances, but that should let you know just how tough that you are, how strong your spirit is. And the reason many of us give up is because we don't see that strength within ourselves. We just see the heartbreak and the turmoil, but we don't know why we're going through it, which is why Spirit is having me relay this message to you today. It was not because you were cursed. I'm hearing some of your bloodlines were. They were cursed. And a part of your mission was to come and to break that generational curse, which required you to complete the task that their souls could not complete, which required you to overcome the obstacles that their souls could not overcome. So the last thing that Spirit wants to have me touch on in regards to soul contracts, in regards to your narc parents, understand that everything is God. Everything is God. So God is all of us just split up into many different expressions. And this expands beyond just earth, right? Because we're expansive here. So we know that includes our galactic family, our spiritual family, angels, ancestors, passed over loved ones. God is everything. God is manifesting in many different aspects to help itself. It's like a video game, and there's only one player, but they're playing all of the roles in the video game. So understand that there's no need for you to hate your parents or to hate those that wrong you, because they too are God playing a role, even if they're not aware of it. You see, we all have a higher self, or I'm hearing higher selves. There's many different higher selves. But if you want to look at the top honcho as God, as we know it, pure goodness, we all have that. Even the worst, meanest, cruelest people in the world have that. And so understand that when they play these roles as these narcissistic parents, as those abusive boyfriends, abusive girlfriends, as those friends that betrayed you, those co-workers that are gossiping about you, that boss who is abusing their authority, understand that all of these are still God playing different roles in order to serve you. What do I mean by that? Well, if you have a certain mission, if you have a lesson that you need to learn, somebody has to be the villain, somebody has to be the hero. This is just how it works. Because it allows you to learn lessons. It allows you to experience yourself as the victim, and it allows you to experience yourself as the victor. And when I say yourself, I mean yourself as God. God is allowing it to experience itself as all of these different things. I'm hearing to even the playing field. This is the only way that you would have been able to learn lessons. The only way that you can appreciate goodness is when you're presented with bad. The only way that you understand what bad is when you're shown a mirror of goodness. Otherwise, it would all just look the same to you. So this is the only purpose of duality. This is the only purpose of duality here, to learn lessons. So the reason for this message is for you to forgive. Understand the role that they were playing in your life, and that even if they don't realize it, they were serving a higher purpose in your life. They were helping you activate your power. They were helping you to see what you are not by seeing what they chose to be. Through that contrast, as I've talked about in other videos, it helped you learn more about yourself. But understand that we are all reflections of one God. So once again, do not allow hate or resentment or malice to poison your heart. Allow yourself to see the higher meaning of it all. And then you will become grateful to these people who helped your soul elevate, who helped your spiritual ranking to go up. Because every time I'm hearing you defeat a demon, your spiritual ranking goes up. And I'm hearing now, so does your spiritual credit. And that's just a beautiful, beautiful way of putting it, Spirit. Thank you for that revelation. Because it kind of is like that. Spiritual credit. The more that you pay off karmic debt here on earth, the higher your spiritual credit, the higher your spiritual ranking, the higher your spiritual position. So yes, you went through the worst. You experienced the most heinous crimes. But understand, on a spiritual level, all of that has elevated you. And it was also to show you just how strong of a soul that you are. God gets to flex through you. Now I'm seeing Job. When the devil was given permission to test Job, that is very significant, because Spirit wants you to understand that nothing happens without Source knowing about it. So if things are happening, it's for a reason. And it's also because Spirit knows that you can handle it, that you will get through it, and you will be rewarded if you stand fast, if you hold on to the faith and know that everything that was taken away from you, including your innocence, will be restored 100-fold. I'll leave the message off there. I hope this helps someone. Please like and share so someone else can benefit from this healing. Also, you guys can follow me on YouTube at The Spiritual Barb. I appreciate the subscribes. I appreciate the follows. Have a beautiful day and stay blessed.